A major attraction in Hawaii and one of the most significant sites in the world is Pearl Harbor, not for its beauty or for being the location of an ancient landmark, but for the terrible events that occurred there on the morning of Sunday, December 7th, 1941.
Thanks, Phil.
No worries, Rory.
When anyone mentions Pearl Harbor, you immediately think of World War II and the bombing of the American base by the Japanese. It's an attack that pretty much led the Americans into the war. Now behind me is the USS Missouri. It's one of the biggest battleships ever made. I'm going to have a look around and see if I can learn more about what happened that day.
The Missouri was launched on January 29, 1944, and was assigned to the Pacific Third Fleet. It was part of the force that carried out bombing raids over Tokyo and provided firepower in the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa. It's now anchored at the site of the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor and acts as a fitting memorial to the people and events of America's military legacy.
This is where it all happened for us, the beginning of World War II. You're right now standing in an area that was known then as Battleship Row, and here where the Missouri now rests is where the USS Oklahoma was. Believe it or not, in this group of ships, which was 7 of them moored here, the Japanese torpedo planes made their run at them, and within 15 minutes, naval power in the Pacific ceased to exist for the United States. So this, and right here, there was literally thousands that lost their lives. The Arizona is not far from us here, and we have a memorial to it, and that's what we do in the National Park Service. We are the stewards of that memorial, so it's all part of our National Park Service system. Pearl Harbor to us, I guess, is what Gallipoli may be to you in Australia. It is the defining moment for Americans. It really, as a historian, I've got to tell you, I believe modern American history began there because we weren't a world power at that time. We emerged one, and with it the global responsibilities. So to define us as you know us today, you need to go back to Pearl Harbor and how it affected us and what it did to our country. Today, Americans and Japanese meet here in peace to remember a time of war as we would want it. But in that ship is still 900 souls still serving it, of the 1,177 killed.
So they're still entombed on the ship?
They're still entombed, and the ship still leaks oil. It's been leaking oil now since 1941. So when you go over there and see the oil coming up and smell it, it's that same smell. It's almost as if you're transported back in time.
The significance of this site extends well beyond the events of Pearl Harbor's bombing. It now symbolizes the resolve, honor, and sacrifice of American servicemen, and it's a testament to this nation's military strength.
Morgan, if you come right over here, you can see the USS Arizona Memorial.
Oh, right.
And from beyond that, all the way through here, another quarter of a mile was Battleship Row. So this was where the main battle line of the Pacific Fleet was. Looking in that direction is where the torpedo planes would come in. They'd be dropping those torpedoes, and you and I would be watching them race towards us at about 30 miles per hour. Those torpedoes would slam into the side of the ship, blowing about a 20 to 30-foot hole. And this is all happening in a matter of minutes. If we're the Oklahoma, we're going to take 9 to 11 of these, and our ship's going to capsize.
Wow.
And it's all going to happen within about 15 minutes.
You can't even take that in. You can't even...
No, it's
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, 24 torpedo planes on this side and 16 on that side. It was the beginning of a whole new age of warfare, naval era. The battleship era was over. This was a dinosaur now.
While the Missouri served in 3 wars spanning several decades, it secured its place in history on September 2nd, 1945, as the site of Japan's unconditional surrender to the Allied forces, putting an end to World War II.
This is the ship's bridge where the captain would have stood. He would have given his orders from here, told people where to point the boat so we could fire his cannons. That's an amazing place to be in the open seas when the boat's just going up and down. You have to have some pretty good sea legs.
The Missouri is an inspiring and moving sight that continues to capture the minds and hearts of the thousands of visitors each year that walk on her decks, strolling beneath the now silent guns. Having tasted the major attractions of Oahu, I flew to the less populous Hawaiian island of Maui. I could tell on approach to the runway that this island was much less developed than the one I'd just left. The ground below was a combination of greens and browns, with the obvious signs of farming and roads crisscrossing the landscape. Though with all the activity at the airport, I figured there'd be plenty of people around town. Now this isn't something you see every day, but it's indicative of the relaxed Hawaiian attitude. In a way, it's a comforting sight, because I'd hate for him to be doing that during a flight. After picking up my luggage, I did the usual tourist thing of getting a bunch of guidebooks and maps. Then it was off to the car hire place to pick up my ride for the next few days. On the drive from the airport across to where I was staying in Lahaina, I quickly came to see why Maui has been referred to as the most beautiful island in the world. Its unique topography was formed by two shield volcanoes whose lava flows overlapped and formed a land bridge. Surrounding the massive peaks are gorgeous beaches that are the playgrounds for more than just local surfers and tourists. From the moment I drove into Lahaina, I knew it was going to be my kind of town. It has a relaxed mood about it and is free of the high rises and resorts that dominate Waikiki. In Hawaiian, Lahaina means unmerciful sun because of all the sunny days it receives. And this fantastic weather didn't go unnoticed by the Hawaiian royalty because they made it the capital of the kingdom from 1820 to 1845. The town is chock-a-block full of historic sites, but beyond the old world charm, Lahaina is now a favourite with tourists looking for a place that's big enough to have all the luxuries, but not so big that you feel lost in its streets. It's the perfect place to set up camp before spending a few days checking out the rest of this magic island.